Hey everybody, this is Renault, and this is going to be the, bad light angle, second comic book review for Vampirella. This is Vampirella number 2, once again written by Christopher Priest, and drawn by artist Ergun Gunduz. So, the book starts off with, she's still talking to the therapist from the first book. And so she's talking about how she's just kind of bored. Now, I do want to mention this black cat, whom she casually mentions as Grit. I'm hoping that that's actually an Estankio spy, because it would make so much sense, but you can't be sure. So now we see the little girl. Now, this is actually, by the way, I forget what your boy Zach calls it, but it's when you kind of recycle the same panels. And so you can see that that's taking place here, at least for the first 4 panels. And it's... the only reason why I really notice how lazy it is because I saw some reviews of Mr. Miracle, and it's like... and I heard some reviews from Spike Valentine that, you know, it's really, really lazy. But, I mean, the cat does move a little bit, but, you know, whatever. So, the book starts off. At first, I thought this was a drug deal. Wow, the lighting is terrible. I might have to move. But, yeah. The book starts off with what initially I thought was a drug deal, but I believe this is actually child prostitution. And so, look carefully. There's 2 guys. There's this guy who was selling her, and then there's this guy who was going to buy the services of this little girl. Now, look carefully. Vampirella says, "Go home." You see the child running away. You know, Vampirella's pissed using a child like that, etc., etc. And then we get, she's not, I would have actually preferred it if they showed her drinking the guy's blood, but instead, it's using the onomatopoeia of the blood drinking sound. And then it shows her going back to her, you know, hotel room, etc., while speaking to and going back to the therapist. But one of those people disappeared, right? The guy who was drinking the blood, he was selling the girl. The girl ran home. The guy who was going to buy the little girl got away scot-free. This book needs an editor. Anyway, I don't really think this part's that interesting, but it talks about... So her mom, Lilith, tells her to go get a life. Quite literally, you know, go dating, go have fun, do something. So she's dating. She's dating these guys, you know. This part did make me laugh. "I digs me some white chicks." And then the white lady says, "I dig me some white chicks." And then the older Asian man says, "I digs me some white chicks." That did make me laugh. But it just shows, you know, she's bored with the dating of men. And then eventually that's the lady from the airport, by the way, driving a car. Oh, and speaking of lazy art, I'm not going to be able to zoom in, but this panel and this panel, Vampirella has the exact same face. I've learned from last time, I cannot zoom, but you'll just have to take my word for it. And it's very inappropriate and noticeable that the face here where she's laughing and the face here, they should not be the same. All the artist did was, like, use some, like, copy-paste and tilt the head. But the actual face is the exact same. Very lazy. I'm noticing some lazy art, Mr. Ergun Gunduz. Or you've got a fill-in artist. Blame it on a fill-in artist. So, you know, going back to the chick from the airport, they have hot lesbian loving. Now, I don't really know how they know each other. That's not really explained. And it's also not really explained at why they hit it off. Like, Vampirella, in the middle of a big city like LA, looking the way she does, would kind of have her pick of the dudes. Okay, so I'm assuming that maybe this was a transgender, but I don't know. It looks like she's only dating guys. I figure maybe if she was dating more guys and women, like more openly, I would not think that this was a transgender. But anyway, it doesn't matter because the point is that she's finding all these dudes boring, but when she gets into a hot lesbian relationship, it's, you know, bow chicka bow wow. I just don't really get why. Does it really make any sense? And this part's actually kind of boring, so I'm going to skip that. But then they get introduced to the 6 Marys. And I got to admit, the faces that they have is kind of awesome. Each one of their faces is unique. Yeah, sorry, I can't, my zoom just does not work. It's not a thing that's going to happen. But the 6 Marys, they work for the Catholic Church. And so they're working with Vampirella. Vampirella's a scout for them. So what Vampirella has done is she's scouted, like, a blood cult. And so they're not quite sure if they should work with Vampirella or destroy Vampirella, and that's what they're talking about up here. I'm going to just read it since, you know, you can't read it yourself because my focus is awful. We should destroy her. Kill our own scout. She hates the evil ones as much as God does. She is undead, an abomination. Killing the already dead is no sin. So, you know, they're not a hive mind. That's something I enjoy. That means that there may be internal conflicts. They may become bigger players in the future. But basically right now they're all working for the Catholic Church to just go ahead and destroy the unnatural. And they're working with Vampirella. But it turns out they're working with Vampirella because they're not quite sure if she's an abomination. She's working with them, so... And Vampirella is kind of doing it because she's finally showing some of her more heroic roots. We didn't really get a chance to see that in the first comic, but here in the second comic, we see her doing things a bit more heroically. Even if it's out of boredom, she could have chosen to rob banks. She could have just done nothing. She could have chosen to join evil. But she's choosing to be a hero. Even if it's out of boredom, she is choosing to be a hero. Or at least more heroic than demons. So now we see how Vampirella was able to scout it. You know, she's hot, like I mentioned earlier. She could, if she's in LA, and we did see that the 6 Marys was part of Beverly Hills. We can see that she's hot enough to kind of just get anywhere she wants to go. And so she used that to scout this blood cult. And so eventually, the 6 Marys just kind of burst in and start shooting up the place. They try not to kill the humans. They try to scare the humans away, but you know, the humans are not really who they're after. And you can see bubbling up underneath the blood or something coming. And advertisements. Boom. Werewolf creatures. I don't know what the specific parlance is in the world of Vampirella. Pretty sure they're not actually werewolves. But this is the lead werewolf guy. He's like... His name's Armadillo. And I'm not quite sure if that's just... if he's a one-off character. I'm not familiar with the Vampirella mythos. But he's like, I do like this little back and forth, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. He's pissed off. He's asking, why? And so she just asks, why not? We have no quarrel with you, Vampiri. Sure you do, Aberdell. So long as you keep making meals of innocent victims. Innocent? These fools paid $1,000 each to attend this rite. Why do you even care? And so it's like it's, you know, you get what you pay for good and for ill. So it's kind of a good question, but she does have a good counter. And she points out that, what did she say? I forget, but I don't want to go over it in the video. I find the lesbian relationship kind of boring, so that's very easy to skip. Very easy skip. Here it is, yeah. Okay, so since I just happened to be there. So she points out that she's not really judging whether they're good or evil, or whether they're innocent. She's like pointing out that some people are just doing it because they're bored, or because they're not really sure of what they're doing. They're just going along to get along. So she does that to point out that even if they're stupid, they're still innocent. And so, of course, Vampirella is not acting alone. There's the 6 Marys joining in to help. I don't care who this guy is, so I'm going to just skip it. And so then there's the cleaner. You guys might actually remember the cleaners from John Wick. The cleaner actually works with the Catholic Church as well. She speaks primarily Spanish. What I don't like is that the cleaner is like, quote-unquote, badass. She's literally kicking a hole in this werewolf creature. I prefer it if she were just shooting the werewolf instead of just physically punching it. Otherwise, why is she a cleaner? Why isn't she part of the 6 Marys? No. If the 6 Marys are... by kicking a hole in the werewolf, it makes it seem like she's more badass than the 6 Marys, who are secret agents working directly for the Catholic Church. Why isn't she doing that? But, so I don't like that. But anyway, we end with, we don't really get a cliffhanger like last time. That was actually a pretty good cliffhanger that would have made me more interesting. Or interested in what happens next. This ending is not as strong as Vampirella #1. So, that's Vampirella. I'm still going to be in it for the long haul. Probably for the entire 12 issues. But I gotta say, I would have liked to have seen, quote-unquote, Mother or Lilith make a bigger appearance and do more stuff. Because, you know, I would have liked her to be more direct. With maybe, and I'm hoping that the cat, Grit, that Vampirella was petting earlier, was actually Estancios and spying on her, because that would have just made sense. He primarily inhabits vermin, like rats and bugs and things, but why wouldn't Estancios be the cat? Yeah, sorry that I can't really get a good view of the art. This is still a work in progress. Anyway, I'm going to stop babbling now. Thank you much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, and hit that like button, please. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.